In winter, K2 becomes an icy hell, where winds will knock you off your feet and the temperature plummets to minus 60 degrees. It was here, in the deadly Bottleneck at 8,200 meters, that an elite team of climbers vanished without a trace. Muhammad Ali Sadpara, John Snorri, and Juan Pablo Mohr. Their bodies wouldn't be found for another 6 months, but the mystery of their final hours will forever remain on the summit. How did a simple porter, who started his journey in a pair of plastic flip-flops, become a mountaineering legend? And why did the mountain he considered his home take him forever? Some people are chosen by the mountains. They are born where the earth meets the sky. Muhammad Ali was born in the village of Sadpara, a place lost among the giants of the Karakoram. In a place like this, your fate is sealed from birth. The men here are porters. For centuries, they've carried not just the gear for expeditions on their shoulders, but the very weight of the mountains themselves. Here, life is a constant struggle. The lack of basic medicine turns any illness into a death sentence. Not everyone makes it. For Ali's family, this harsh reality hit particularly close to home. He was the youngest, one of the few children to survive into adulthood. And from a very young age, he learned the meaning of hard work, toiling in the fields and tending to the livestock. Every day spent under the open sky forged his body and his spirit, but a different fire burned inside Muhammad Ali. Against all odds, he broke with tradition and got a formal education, graduating from college in Skardu. This was unheard of for a boy from Sadpara, whose path seemed already carved out for him. A life at the foot of the 8,000ers. But his true strength wasn't found in a classroom. On the football pitch, they called him the Ronaldo of Baltistan. Not for his delicate technique, but for his incredible physical power, a relentless drive that was simply impossible to stop. This raw power hadn't yet found its true calling, but life has a way of finding a use for that kind of strength, and when it does, it moves fast. At 19, Muhammad Ali was married. His bride was Fatima, a girl from a nearby village. This wasn't a story of romantic love, but a union sealed by tradition, arranged by his uncle. For a young man brimming with energy and ambition, this meant one thing: responsibility. He was no longer just his parents' son. He was now the head of a new family, and his shoulders had to bear that weight. Soon, their family began to grow, and this new chapter brought not only joy, but a harsh new reality. The small plot of land that had fed him since he was a boy was no longer enough. The harvest felt meager, the future uncertain. Every day became a quiet struggle for survival, and Ali realized that his college degree and his victories on the football pitch couldn't fill the empty granaries. He stood at a crossroads. One path was to stay, to keep working the rocky soil, hoping for nature's mercy, and to slowly let the fire that made him the Ronaldo of Baltistan burn out. The other path was to leave, to lift his eyes to the peaks that had always been the silent witnesses to his life, to the place where foreigners came seeking glory, and local men came seeking a wage. It's a decision that doesn't come easy. To leave the land of his ancestors means breaking with the past. But to stay, that would mean betraying his family's future. He looks down at his hands made for hard labor, and he realizes this isn't where his strength is needed. His stadium isn't a soccer field. It's the icy slopes of the 8,000ers. He makes a decision that will change everything. He leaves the farm behind and offers his services to the expedition companies. From that moment on, his life is split in two, a before and an after. He becomes a porter. To many, that word just means carrier, someone whose job it is to haul gear. But in reality, these men are the steel backbone of any expedition. They blaze the trails, fix the ropes, and haul tens of kilos of gear, food, and oxygen tanks on their backs. They are the unsung heroes, without whom no flag would ever fly from the summit. To the climbers from Europe or America, he's just part of the crew, a quiet, resilient helper. But Ali, he's different. He doesn't just have raw physical strength. He has a college-educated mind and an unbreakable will. He isn't just carrying someone else's gear. He's learning, watching, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. Every step across the glacier, every foot of elevation gained is a lesson. He doesn't know it yet, but as he carries the dreams of others on his back, he's beginning to forge one of his own. The early 2000s. His career begins at the very bottom of the ladder. He's a low-altitude porter. His job is both simple and impossibly hard. Haul supplies to the base camps, to the foot of the great peaks. summits he doesn't yet dare to dream of climbing himself. Picture this, the Baltoro Glacier. This isn't some smooth, icy skating rink. It's a chaotic maze of ice, rock, and hidden crevasses. A river of frozen time, 63 kilometers long. And moving across this glacier, among seracs glittering in the sun, is a man. He's not wearing specialized mountaineering boots with crampons. On his feet are a pair of thin plastic sandals, the same kind you'd see back in his village. This was the slipper era. That's what this period of his life would come to be called. He's part of an invisible army that makes other people's triumphs possible. And here, on the glacier, the gap between their two worlds is a physical pain. You see the clients, the Western climbers. They're decked out in brightly colored technical shells, protecting them from the wind and water. Their boots are a marvel of technology, their backpacks practically weightless. In their hands, lightweight carbon fiber poles. They look like explorers on another planet. And then there's Ali. His clothes are hand-me-downs, left behind by members of previous expeditions. An old fleece jacket, a pair of faded pants, and those plastic sandals, which seem like a cruel joke in this kingdom of ice. He carries a load on his back that's twice, sometimes 3 times, heavier than any client's pack. This contrast captures the very essence of mountaineering in the Karakoram back then. Some come here for glory, others come simply to feed their families. Every step in those sandals, across sharp ice and frozen rock, is an ordeal. The cold seeps into his bones, draining his strength. But Ali keeps going. He doesn't complain. He watches. He remembers. He learns. His body, forged by years of labor in the fields, becomes his primary instrument, his only piece of high-tech gear. He's proving it to himself, and no one else, that he can take it. To the foreigners, he's just another face in a crowd of silent porters. They don't know his name, they don't know his story. All they see is a man doing his job. But out of this anonymity, out of this hardship, something greater is born. It's a brutal school of survival, where the tuition is paid in pain and frostbite. And Ali pays that price in full, forging his path upward, one step at a time. For 4 years, he treks across the glaciers, becoming a part of the unforgiving landscape itself. And then, something happens that will turn the page to a new chapter of his life. 2004. A Korean expedition is preparing for K2, the Savage Mountain, second highest in the world, but the toughest to climb. They don't just need a porter, they need a high-altitude porter, an HAP. This is a whole other level. This isn't about trekking to base camp anymore. This is work in the death zone, that place where the thin air suffocates you and the cold freezes you solid. He gets the job. Why him? Maybe someone saw a fire in his eyes that years of hard labor couldn't extinguish. Maybe it was just luck. But Ali gets his chance. For the first time in his life, he gets proper gear. Not hand-me-downs, but professional equipment. A warm down suit, high-altitude boots, crampons, and ice axe. He looks at these things not as clothes, but as a suit of armor. His job now is more than just hauling gear. He has to help fix the route, set up the fixed ropes, establish camps at dizzying altitudes where every single breath is a battle. And here, in the thin air of the Karakoram, something miraculous happens. Ali's body, accustomed to high altitude from birth, unlocks its hidden potential. Where seasoned climbers are gasping for air, suffering from hypoxia, he feels almost at home. His endurance is staggering. He can make 2, even 3, carries between camps while other climbers can barely manage one. For the Korean team, he becomes more than just a worker. He's their good luck charm. But the biggest change is the one happening inside him. He's no longer a faceless porter. He is part of the climbing team. He watches them plan their route, how they handle the gear, how they make critical decisions. He absorbs this knowledge, and his inquisitive mind, sharpened by his time in college, analyzes every detail. He starts to see the mountain not just as a way to make a living, but as an adversary, a puzzle that needs to be solved. Something new starts to grow in his heart. This isn't just work anymore, it's a passion. He realizes this is what he was born to do, not to carry other people's gear to the foot of the mountain, but to stand on its summit. The mountains are no longer just a job for him. They have become his calling, his destiny. That season on K2 transforms the humble porter into a true high-altitude mountaineer. This newfound passion demands an outlet, and it doesn't have to wait long. 2006. The German expedition, Amical Alpen, is gearing up to climb Gasherbrum 2, the Shining Wall, a mountain towering at 8,035 meters. They're looking for a strong, high-altitude porter, and Ali's reputation precedes him. He gets the call, but there's a catch. Unlike the Korean expedition that provided him with everything he needed, the terms here are different. He has to bring his own gear. For a European climber, that's standard. But for Ali, it's a near impossible hurdle. Brand new gear costs a fortune, money he's never had. So he heads to the second-hand market in Skardu. This isn't some gleaming outdoor gear shop. It's a chaotic bazaar where climbers sell off their old equipment. He spends every last penny of his savings on a worn-out down suit, a pair of old boots, an ice axe with a battered handle. His home becomes a workshop. By the light of a kerosene lamp, he spends his nights patching holes in the down suit, sealing cracks in the boots, sharpening his crampons. Every stitch, every strike of the hammer is an act of defiance. He can't afford the best, but he can make what he has dependable. His gear is a mosaic of other people's stories, other people's ascents, and he's breathing new life into these old items, his own. He joins the expedition not just as a participant, but as a warrior who has forged his own armor. To the German team, he's just another local guide. They see his old, patched-up gear and probably look down on him a little. But on the mountain, words and appearances mean nothing. All that matters is what you can do. And Ali is about to show them exactly what he can do. He doesn't just haul loads. He leads. He breaks trail. He sets the ropes. His intuitive feel for the mountain, his sheer physical strength, and his calm in critical moments. First it earns him surprise, and then profound respect. He summits Gasherbrum 2, 8,035 meters. He stands there, on the roof of the world, in his old patched-up down suit, looking out over the vast Karakoram range spread out beneath him. It's his first true summit, his first 8,000er. In that moment, something more than just a climb happens. He proves, not just to the Germans, but to the entire world, and most importantly, to himself, that a boy from Sadpara, who once walked on glaciers in flip-flops, can stand shoulder to shoulder with the best climbers on the planet. He's no longer just a porter. He is Muhammad Ali Sadpara, the mountaineer. The summit of Gasherbrum 2 isn't the finish line. It's the starting pistol. The hunger that awakened in him up there at 8,000 meters can now never be satisfied. Now, he has to prove it wasn't a fluke, that it wasn't just a bit of luck for a tough kid from the village. And he sets out to prove it with a tenacity that is simply awe-inspiring. In 2008, he summits Nanga Parbat, the Naked Mountain, one of the most treacherous and unpredictable peaks on Earth, a mountain that has claimed dozens of lives. He does it, but that's not enough for him. In 2009, he returns and stands on its summit once again. To conquer that monster twice in 2 years, that's not luck, that's a statement. He shows that he speaks the language of these mountains, that he understands their very nature. And his name starts to echo through the base camps more and more. In 2010, he continues adding to his collection of 8,000ers, successfully summiting Gasherbrum 1, the neighbor of the very mountain where his journey began. 2 years later, in 2012, he takes on Broad Peak, reaching its foresummit at 8,011 meters. And the world of high-stakes mountaineering starts to see him in a new light. He's no longer just that strong guy from Pakistan. He's a reliable, seasoned high-altitude mountaineer. The elite of the climbing world, the ones whose names are known globally, start to see him not as a helper, but as an equal, a partner. Names like Simone Moro, a living legend, are now mentioned alongside his, not in the context of client and porter, but as climbing partners. His role on the mountain fundamentally transforms. More and more, he's not behind a client, but out in front. He's the one leading the rope, the one taking the first steps into untouched snow, breaking trail for everyone else. He reads the ice, finds the safe path through treacherous ice falls, and makes the critical decisions that everyone's lives depend on. His intuition, born in these mountains and sharpened by years of climbing, becomes his greatest tool. He's no longer just following orders. He's the strategist. The guy in the patched-up snowsuit is now leading the stars of the mountaineering world. His authority wasn't earned with words, but forged over miles of vertical ascent. And now, a moment arrives when strategy, experience, and unbelievable willpower must all converge on a single point. That point is Nanga Parbat in winter. In the climbing world, that name alone sounds like a death sentence. By 2016, only 2 of the world's 8,000ers had never been climbed in winter. Nanga Parbat was one of them. 31 expeditions had tried. 31 teams, made up of the strongest climbers in the world, had failed. The mountain in winter is a different beast entirely. Temperatures plummet to -40 degrees, and hurricane-force winds, screaming like a jet engine, can sweep a climber off the face like a speck of dust. This isn't just a climb, it's a battle for survival. And entering this battle is a dream team, the Italian Simone Moro, known as the King of Winter Ascents, the Spaniard Alex Chicon, who is obsessed with this mountain, and him, Muhammad Ali Sadpara. And on this team, he isn't just a guide, he is the key to the mountain. He knows its summer moods, its crevasses, its couloirs. Now, he must unlock its winter soul. They choose the Kinshofer route, a classic line, but one that becomes a vertical, icy trap in winter. Every single step is a fight. The cold steel of an ice axe burns through the thickest gloves. Every breath instantly crystallizes into ice on your mask. This isn't a sport. It's a war against nature and against yourself. The final act of this drama unfolds on February 26th, 2016. 4 climbers leave the final camp for the summit push. Along with the 3 men is an Italian woman, Tamara Lunger. They move slowly, running on fumes. The altitude drains their energy, the cold seizes their muscles. And then, when the summit is just 100 meters away, the mountain shows its brutal side. Tamara stops. She can feel her body shutting down. To take even a few more steps would mean not coming back at all. She makes the toughest decision of her life and turns back. The 3 men push on. They move forward, leaning on one another, sharing the last sips of their hot tea. And then, those final steps, the summit. They're standing on the very top of Nanga Parbat in winter. Simone Moro, Alex Chicon, and Muhammad Ali Sadpara. They had done the impossible, and Ali carves his name into the history books as more than just a member of the team. He becomes the first Pakistani to summit an 8,000-meter peak in winter. The boy from Sadpara, who began his journey in sandals, had conquered the unbreachable winter fortress. The descent from the summit brings with it a storm of fame. Media outlets around the world are ablaze with news of the historic climb. Simone Moro, a man who chooses his words carefully, says something that would soon become legendary. Ali is the Tenzing of Nanga Parbat. He's comparing him to Tenzing Norgay, the Sherpa who was the first to stand on the summit of Everest alongside Sir Edmund Hillary. It's the highest possible praise. Muhammad Ali Sadpara becomes a national hero in Pakistan. He's welcomed home like a king, met with thunderous applause, a source of immense national pride. He is a symbol that Pakistanis can be more than just helpers. They can be the protagonists in the story of conquering their own mountains. It seemed like this was it, the well-deserved triumph. His life was supposed to change. Sponsorships, contracts, financial stability. All of it should have come crashing down on him like an avalanche. But reality turned out to be far more mundane and much, much harsher. The fame was there, but the money wasn't. He returns home to his village, Sadpara, not as a global celebrity, but as an ordinary man. There are no major sponsorship deals with gear companies, no steady support from the government. The fees he earns from expeditions are just a drop in the bucket compared to what his European partners make. And so, you have this hero, the man who conquered Nanga Parbat in winter, standing on the roof of his modest home, fixing a leak. He puts his work clothes back on and goes to tend to his livestock. The contrast is staggering, from the top of the world to the daily grind of a leaky roof. He is living proof that you can be a king in the mountains and still be a poor man down in the valley. His friends and family say it with a hint of bitterness. Give Ali proper funding, and he won't just climb all 14 8,000ers once. He'll do it several times over. And they're not exaggerating. His physical conditioning, his experience, his intuition, it's a rare and powerful combination. But high-altitude mountaineering isn't just about strength and willpower. It's also about big money. A single expedition to an 8,000-meter peak costs tens of thousands of dollars. Money for permits, for gear, for oxygen, for logistics. Money that Ali simply doesn't have. For him, every new climb isn't just a physical ordeal. It's a desperate scramble for funding. He is forced to constantly prove he's worthy of support, even though his name is already written in golden letters in the annals of mountaineering history. But financial struggles can't hold back a man who's walked across a glacier in flip-flops. He finds a way to keep doing what he was born to do. He leverages his reputation to join expeditions, and time after time, he proves that having him on the team is a guarantee of success. 2018 kicks off with a new challenge. January, winter in the Himalayas. He travels to Nepal to summit Pumori, Everest's unmarried daughter, a technically demanding peak at 7,161 meters. A winter ascent of a peak like that is a world-class achievement in its own right. He pulls it off as if it's just a warm-up for the main event. That same summer, he returns to his home range, the Karakoram, his target, K2, the very mountain where he started his high-altitude career, carrying loads for Korean teams. Now, he's back, not as a porter, but as a leader. And for the first time in his life, he stands on its summit. He's bringing his story full circle, proving that the student has surpassed all expectations. And then comes 2019, a year that turns into an absolute whirlwind. It's as if he's trying to make up for all the years he lost to a lack of funding. His pace is just staggering. In a single season, he summits 3 8,000-meter peaks. First, he climbs Lhasa, the world's 4th highest peak, right next door to Everest. Then it's on to Manaslu, Nepal's Mountain of the Spirit. And in between those two ascents, he even manages to work on Makalu, the planet's 5th highest mountain. There, he leads the rope-fixing team, preparing the route for dozens of other climbers. It's an incredible display of strength, endurance, and versatility. He's no longer just a Karakoram specialist. He's proving he can operate at any altitude, in any corner of the Himalayas, winter or summer. He can lead, he can fix ropes, he can be a team player. He has cemented his status as one of the strongest high-altitude climbers on the planet. And he does it all, not with millions in sponsorship, but in spite of its absence. What drives him is a pure passion for the mountains and an unbreakable will. He's not the kind of man who waits for someone to build him a ladder to the top. He's the one carving his own steps into the ice, one by one, climbing higher and higher. After the triumphant 2019 season, one final, great objective remains on the horizon, the hardest and the most coveted, a winter ascent of K2. It's not just a mountain, it's the holy grail of high-altitude mountaineering, the only 8,000er never to have been summited in winter. Dozens of expeditions have tried and failed. The conditions on K2 in winter are compared to a different planet. Winds of 200 kilometers an hour and temperatures of minus 60 Celsius are the norm. The mountain becomes a vertical desert of ice, and Ali, for whom K2 is his home mountain, can't stay away. He has to be there. In the winter of 2020 to 2021, an unprecedented number of climbers gathers at the base of K2. The best of the best from around the world are here. Ali joins the team led by the Icelander Snorri. But on January 16, 2021, something happens that changes everything. A team of 10 Nepalese Sherpas, led by the one and only Nirmal Purja, achieves the impossible. They reach the summit. They've claimed the ultimate prize. The first winter ascent is complete. For most of the other expeditions, this is the signal to pack it in. Game over. History has been written. Climbers start breaking down their camps, heading home. But not Ali Sadpara. For him, this was never about a race for the record books. It was a matter of honor. He looks up at his mountain and just can't walk away. He says, "The first winter ascent is a beautiful thing, but the flag of Pakistan has yet to fly from the summit of K2 in winter." These words, they capture the very essence of the man. This isn't a quest for glory. It's an act of service to his country and to his mountains. He decides to push on. He assembles a small but formidable team. With him are his friend, Snorri from Iceland, and Juan Pablo Mohr from Chile. And joining them is his own son, Ali Sadpara, a powerful young climber following in his father's footsteps. Their plan is audacious, bordering on insane. They're going to attempt the summit without supplemental oxygen, a winter ascent of K2 without oxygen. It's a challenge that pushes the very limits of human possibility, and maybe even goes beyond them. It's like trying to run a marathon while holding your breath. But for Ali, it's a matter of principle. He wants to prove that his strength comes from within, from his own body, not from technology. February 4th, 2021. The team leaves Camp 3, situated at 7,300 meters. This is the final stop before the summit push, the point of no return. The weather has given them a small, fragile window of opportunity. They have to make it. But right from the start, something is off. Down at base camp, the support team nervously watches the forecast. The summit team was supposed to have left camp in the dead of night to give themselves plenty of time, but they get a late start sometime after midnight. Every minute of delay at this altitude, in this cold, it's wasted energy. It's a stolen chance at success. Time is now working against them. The clock is ticking, and with it, the timer on their very lives. The morning of February 5th. The sun barely kisses the peaks, painting the snow in ethereal colors. They are moving slowly but steadily upward. From base camp, they're just visible through binoculars, 3 tiny specks on a vast white face. They reach the most treacherous part of the entire route, the Bottleneck. It's a narrow, nearly vertical gully at 8,200 meters, located directly beneath a looming ice sérac the size of an apartment building. One wrong move, one loose piece of ice, and it's all over. And it's here that the first act of the tragedy begins to unfold. Sajid, Ali's son, his oxygen regulator fails. He had planned to climb without oxygen, but brought a bottle along just in case of an emergency. Now, that equipment is useless, and without it, at this altitude, the human body just starts to shut down. Ali looks at his son, and he sees the first telltale signs of trouble, confusion, a loss of coordination. These are the symptoms of high-altitude cerebral edema, a condition that develops with terrifying speed at this elevation. The father in Ali makes a decision that overrides the climber. He orders his son to turn back immediately. Sajid argues. He wants to continue on with his father, but Ali's look is absolute. He practically has to force his son to turn back. Picture it. A father sending his son down towards safety, while he himself keeps pushing upward into the unknown. This is their final goodbye. Shaky on his feet, Sajid starts the descent to Camp 3, while the 3 men, Ali, John Snorri, and Juan Pablo Mohr, press on. They move into the Bottleneck. From that moment, they vanish from sight. Sajid makes it down to Camp 3, fighting a creeping exhaustion. He gets into his tent and waits. He looks up at the slope that has now swallowed his father from view, sure that any minute they'll reappear on the descent, tired but triumphant. He waits for an hour, then 2, then 3. The sun begins to set, bathing the ice fields in an unreal orange glow, but the slope remains empty. He waits until evening. The icy Karakoram night closes in. Inside the tent, a deafening silence, broken only by the howl of the wind. He steps outside and peers into the darkness, hoping to see the light from their headlamps, a thin beam of hope. But all he sees is the indifferent shimmer of the stars and the mountain's immense black silhouette. He waits all night, alone, at 7,300 meters, in a frozen hell. He was there for nearly 20 hours. On the morning of February 6th, he knows he has to go down. To stay would mean sharing their fate. With the heaviest of hearts, leaving a piece of himself behind in that tent, he begins the dangerous solo descent. Miraculously, he makes it back to base camp. His news hits the camp like an avalanche. The world holds its breath. What follows is one of the most massive high-tech search operations mountaineering has ever seen. The Pakistan Army scrambles its helicopters. These aren't just any flights. The pilots perform an incredible feat, pushing their machines to their absolute limit, up to 7,800 meters, where the thin air can barely support the rotor blades. They're literally scraping the bellies of their aircraft against the mountainside, peering into every crevasse, every couloir. But the slope is empty. Reconnaissance planes join the search, equipped with powerful cameras and thermal imagers that can detect the slightest source of heat. They scan the ice fields again and again, but the mountain is a perfect sarcophagus. It doesn't give up its secrets, Days turn into a week, then another. The hope that once burned so brightly smolders, and then dies. On February 18th, 2021, after exhausting every option imaginable, the government of Pakistan makes a tragic but inevitable decision. Muhammad Ali Sadpara, John Snorri, and Juan Pablo Mohr are officially declared missing, presumed dead. The search is called off. Winter passes, then spring. Summer arrives. K2 changes its face. The armor of ice that encased the mountain begins to melt under the July sun. The summer climbing season begins. Dozens of expeditions once again set their sights on the summit. And then, on July 26, 2021, almost half a year after the tragedy, the mountain decides to reveal a secret. A team of Sherpas from the Madison mountaineering expedition, while fixing ropes on the road, makes a grim discovery. First, they find one of them. It is Juan Pablo Mohr. He's the lowest of the three, about 400 meters above the assault camp, Camp 4. His body is fixed to the rope. The Sherpas continue their ascent. They move into the infamous Bottleneck. And there, at an altitude of 8,300 meters, they find the second man. It's Muhammad Ali Sadpara. He too is clipped into the fixed line. His posture suggests he stopped for a rest and simply couldn't get up again. He's considerably higher than his Chilean partner. But that's not all. About 100 meters further up the slope, the Sherpas discover the third man, John Snorri. He's lying off to the side of the main path, as if he was trying to find shelter from the wind, or had just wandered off in a fog of exhaustion. This discovery is like the final, silent entry in their journal. The location of the bodies helps to piece the puzzle together. It becomes clear they didn't fall. There was no catastrophe, no avalanche, no single tragic accident. They just stopped, one by one. Their bodies were found at different altitudes, which tells us they weren't moving as a tight group. It's likely that, on the descent, their strength gave out at different times. The cold, the lack of oxygen, and extreme exhaustion claimed them, one at a time. They didn't lose a battle with the mountain. They just faded into it, their internal batteries dying one after another. The mountain didn't defeat them. It simply outlasted them. The picture of their final hours becomes painfully clear. It wasn't a dramatic climax, but a slow, quiet fade-out in the highest, coldest place on Earth. Now that the bodies have been found, the most difficult work begins. Reconstructing the events. Mountaineering experts, seasoned high-altitude climbers, are examining every single detail. And the picture that emerges is frightening in how ordinary it is. The fact that all three were clipped to the fixed rope is a key detail. It completely rules out the dramatic theories. A fall into a crevasse, an avalanche, some sudden disaster. They didn't fall. They were following the route using their safety gear. John Snorri was found the highest, Ali slightly below him, and Juan Pablo Mohr lower still. This suggests that they were most likely already on their way down from the summit. They had reached their goal, but the mountain collects its toll not on the way up, but on the descent when your energy is gone. So, what happened? The most probable answer is as simple as it is terrifying. Extreme exhaustion, made worse by the cold and hypoxia. Their bodies simply shut down. Imagine it. You're walking, and every single step is an unbelievable effort. You stop for a second to catch your breath, leaning against the slope. And in that second, the cold seeps into you like a poison. Your muscles stop obeying. Your mind gets cloudy, and you just fall asleep. Forever. It's a quiet, silent departure. The posture of Ali, frozen on the rope, speaks to exactly this. He paused to rest and could never move again. Why was Juan Pablo Mohr found so much lower than the others? Maybe he was in better shape, or just the last to run out of steam. There's a theory that when he saw his partners stopping, he tried to push on, to make a desperate dash down to Camp 4, for help, for oxygen, for a chance at survival. He fought harder, pushed on for a few hundred extra meters, but eventually his strength gave out too. It was a desperate race against time, a race he lost. There was no single fatal moment, no one wrong step. Instead, it was 1,000 tiny steps, each one slowly but surely pushing them to their absolute limit. They weren't defeated by the mountain in some epic battle. They simply gave it every last ounce of their energy until there was nothing left to get them home. And so, the final most agonizing question remains. Did they ever make it to the top? Their belongings are found with them. GoPros, phones, a satellite tracker. The entire world waits, holding its breath, hoping for a glimpse of those summit shots, the final smiles of triumph. But the gear, after 6 months in an icy hellscape, isn't giving up its secrets easily. The files on the memory cards are corrupted. The satellite phone emits only phantom signals with faulty coordinates, useless blips into the void. There's no direct proof, no photos, no videos from the summit. The secret of their final triumph remains with them forever, up there at 8,611 meters. But their families, their loved ones, and especially Sajid, are convinced they made it. An analysis of their speed, their departure time, and the location where they were found all suggests they had enough time to summit and start heading down. They didn't turn back. In the summer of 2021, Sajid returns to K2. But he isn't going for the summit. He's going for his father. He climbs to the Bottleneck, finds his father's body, and does the hardest thing he's ever had to do. He moves his father away from the main route, into a niche in the ice. He can't bring him down. It's impossible from that altitude. But he can give him peace, a final resting place, shielded from the eyes of other climbers. There, on the roof of the world, a son performs a final rite, committing his father to the eternal ice. He leaves him where his heart truly was, in the embrace of the mountain. The tragedy sends shockwaves across Pakistan. Ali Sadpara transforms from a hero into a legend, a national myth. Back in his home village, a climbing school is founded in memory of the man who started his journey wearing flip-flops. An institute to train a new generation of porters and guides, teaching them not just technique, but safety, giving them the chance Ali never had. And Sajid, after saying his final goodbye, doesn't leave the mountains. He carries on his father's work. He begins climbing the 8,000ers without supplemental oxygen, just as his father had dreamed of doing. He carries his father's name and legacy to the highest points on Earth. The story of Muhammad Ali Sadpara isn't just about one climber. It's a story that forever changed how the world sees Pakistan's high-altitude mountaineers. He proved that they are more than just porters carrying the glory of others. They are the kings of their mountains.